What's going on, growers? It's James Prigioni coming to you live from Jersey. It's a little cold out here today. We're about 2 weeks away from winter, and all the trees in the food forest have gone into dormancy. Now is the time for us to step in and perform a few simple tasks that'll make all the difference in next year's food forest health and harvest. Let's go! It's amazing the contrast between what the food forest looks like now compared to what it looked like in the spring and summer. Right now it just looks like a bunch of sticks basically all poking out of the ground. It doesn't look like it did. It doesn't look like a food forest, a living biological machine. The thing about designing and growing a food forest is that it takes a different kind of attention than an annual garden. You must step in and maintain the system for it to function properly, the machine for it to run correctly. For instance, when I recently just took out this apple tree back here, this apple tree was getting shaded out and it was restricting too much airflow to move through the garden, and the food forest itself almost couldn't breathe. Kind of what happens in an engine when a carburetor gets clogged up. It can't breathe. That's like the same basic thing, because in the same way an engine is a machine, this garden, it's a living biological machine. Everything working together to benefit one another. So what we need to do now that all the trees are dormant is start to take care of them. Every tree takes a little bit different maintenance. We're going to start with this fig tree now. Fig trees typically grow in zones 8 to 10. And if you know me, I'm in zone 7A, but we're still growing this. That's because you can push them a little bit into lower zones if you take care of them in the winter. So what we're gonna do is first prune this up a little bit, then we're gonna wrap this fig tree. I'm gonna show you just how we do that. What we wanna do though is make sure we prune it now when it's in the dormant stage. As you can see, Tuck wanted to be in this video, just like he wants to in all of them. But when you have a young fig tree like this, what you want is about 4 strong, decent branches coming in different directions. And fig trees are only gonna fruit on new wood, not on old wood like this. Ideally, you'd want a main stem like I have here, and then some branches coming off the sides, but we have a lot of our branches coming off at the base of the plant. It's still all one plant. They aren't suckers because they're not shooting out of the ground, so this is still okay. Again, we want 4 or 5, maybe 6 branches all spaced out going in opposite directions. I'm going to cut them down to about 3 feet, and I'm going to find a nice outer bud. I'm going to take this down a good amount, and we'll use this to propagate as well in the future. We want to make sure that we encourage new fruiting wood. So we're going to take them all down to about the same height. I'm going to take this one, maybe this one a little taller, because I want to take it right above a bud. And then this one I'm going to take a little shorter. So that's basically it when it comes to pruning the healthy stuff. And then Tuck, easy boy, he's trying to rip off a branch. We've got one more branch right here that we're going to leave. Tuck, no boy. Well, looks like Tuck's going to prune that one. Tuck, come on boy. Tuck's gonna prune that one off. And then we're gonna take this low one off here because it's almost like a sucker. So any suckers, any diseased wood, you wanna make sure you remove that immediately. Next thing we're gonna do is, since we have this main branch right here, we're gonna take it, these side branches, and tie it to the main branch. We got this fig all pruned up. We removed any dead branches, any diseased branches, any branches crossing over or touching each other. Now we're gonna tie this thick rope to the main stem. We want to make sure we got a decently thick rope like this. We don't want to use really, thin string because it'll cut into the wood. And then I'm just gonna essentially take this, and they're pretty pliable, so bring them as close to the main stem as I can. This is gonna keep it all tight together, but it's also gonna make it easier for us to wrap it. That's good, just like that. Now we move on to the next step. Next thing we're gonna do is wrap this in burlap, but you'll notice I'm like bumped up against the greenhouse kind of tight, and there's a reason for that. Because when it comes to figs, when you're growing in a location like me where it gets cold winters, it's a good idea to plant your fig either on the south side of your house or on the south side of like a greenhouse like this. Because over the winter, this greenhouse is just gonna heat up and it's gonna radiate heat over to this fig. It's gonna help protect it through the winter. So that's why I'm like bumped up against this stuff. Next thing we're gonna do is wrap this in burlap, and this burlap's good because it'll allow the fig to breathe, but it's also going to keep it nice and warm. And you'll notice how this tree has like a bit of a teepee shape. That's what you want. This way it can shed water. You probably only need about 2 wraps, I guess, or so of the burlap, but I'm going to overdo it because I got a lot of burlap and it's a small tree. Okay, we got all the burlap cut, Now I'm just going to finish wrapping it. I'm going to get it relatively tight. And I'm making sure that it's low down there at the base. I don't want to miss that. So we're gonna wrap this baby up, and then got some twine here I'm just gonna tie it with. Okay, tied up, wrapped in burlap, looks good. Now we're just gonna take a cage, we're gonna put a cage around of it, and then we're gonna stuff it with leaves. The best cage that I found works for wrapping this is just some welded wire fencing. We're gonna have it about that size. We're gonna knock in some stakes just to hold it. Gonna try to evenly space it. And what this is gonna do is we're gonna put all this in, and then we're gonna pack it with leaves tight, with nice dry leaves. What that's gonna do is insulate it throughout the whole year. Okay, the cage is all finished. Next is to just pack it with leaves. I've got a bag of leaves here, a nice dry bag. This is the perfect time of year to do this because everyone's dumping their leaves, giving them out for free. I'm out there collecting them. Let's open this up. A little dampness, but these are relatively dry, light. You want them when they're pretty dry. We're just gonna drop them in. I'm just gonna keep packing the leaves in here. I'm gonna just take this 2x4 and get the leaves, push the leaves down so it's nice and pretty compact down there. So it's a good form of insulation for the tree. Okay, we got about 2 bags of leaves in here, nice and tight, which is exactly what we want. I'm gonna finish putting this bag in, then we're gonna move on to the next step. Looks good like that. Next thing, we're gonna wanna taper the top, so we're just gonna kind of pull it in a little. Just so we can throw something over top and the water sheds off the sides. But next is tar paper, that's what's next. And the last thing we're gonna be using is tar paper. Now we're gonna wrap this whole thing in tar paper. So it takes a good amount of work to grow figs outside, but there's nothing like a fresh fig from a tree. You really can't beat it, so good. We got the tar paper cut. Now we're just gonna make it nice and tight. About 3 wraps is what I'm gonna do. This is gonna make it so it's waterproof, but it still allow it to breathe a little. Now I'm just gonna tie this here. I'm gonna use a little more tar paper at the top to taper it. You'll see, I'll show you. Looks good. Now we're just gonna just do a little more tar paper at the top here. I just made a cone out of the tar paper. Then I'm gonna throw a bucket over the top so no rain and no water can get in. I'm just gonna tape this on so it doesn't slide down on me. And I'll probably throw some staples in too after. It doesn't have to be perfect here, it just has to shed water. So that's what we're doing. Now I'm gonna grab that bucket. Here's the bucket, we're just gonna throw it over top and I'll just push it down. Now the fig tree is all protected. When it rains, it's gonna hit here and just drop all down. No water's gonna get in there. We've got dry leaves, great insulation. Thing will be all ready for spring. Now that we have the fig tree all wrapped, we've got that done. We're gonna move over to another perennial. And this perennial is one of mine and Tuck's favorite early season spring perennials. And this is asparagus. I'm gonna show you what to do with it going into winter. Now that the asparagus plant is all dormant, we're gonna go through and just cut down all the asparagus at the base, right at the ground level. What that's gonna do is provide a good section for next year for all the new ones to pop up. You'll notice as I'm cutting these down that you don't see any of the asparagus berries, any of the little red things that would be on here on the male plants, because we don't want this plant wasting its energy on producing seeds. We want it using all of its growth hormones on producing more roots. So next year we'll get more spears shooting up. So let's take all these down first. Okay, we got all the asparagus cut out. And if you've never grown asparagus before, it's definitely one you have to get into the ground. So simple, so easy, perennial, comes back every year, it just gives. So this one patch I've been growing for a number of years now. And what I would do if I hadn't done it last year is I have wood chips down in this section. I would pull the wood chips back, which I did the other year, and then I would put some compost down or some black leaf mulch, something as a top dressing. Then come back and put a nice 3 or 4 or 5 inches of wood chips on top. Then let that winter all season. Come early spring, you want to remove those wood chips because in order to get the earliest spears, the earliest asparagus coming up, the ground has to warm up. So we want to remove the wood chips so that the ground can warm up in the spring and pop those spears out as soon as possible. So again, if I had not done it this year, I would compost and wood chip this section. But we did it last year, so that's basically it for maintaining asparagus in the winter. We're going to grab these asparagus. We'll probably throw them into the compost pile. And it's amazing being in the food forest, especially now that it's excelled and it's older, because look at the ground here. All these leaves, this leaf mulch, this is created by the forest. Most of these are hazelnut leaves, these ones here. We've got a lot of persimmon leaves too, but we're getting to the point where this system is becoming self-sustaining, self-replicating. It's fertilizing itself. We're taking the sun's energy, we're converting it into through photosynthesis, and we're taking that, we're dropping it down, we're feeding the soil. That's why it's huge. Joel Salatin talks about it. The more bio conversion we can make, the better. So we can convert the sun energy into plants, into fertilization. You can't beat it. The third task that we get to do in the garden today, and I say get to, not have to do, because we want to come at this with the right perspective. The third thing we get to do is to fertilize our trees for next year. The way we're going to do that is with our own chicken manure. So I'm going to show you my process of how I use manure into the trees. Other than using some manure on one or two of the other trees in the past, I've never fertilized any of these trees. I just put the wood chips down, I'll mulch, top dress a little bit, but I don't use any chemical fertilizer, and just once in a while I'll use a little chicken manure. Because now that the trees like this hazelnut has gotten so large, it needs a little added nutrition to help produce better. And I wouldn't use manures unless I got them myself or I knew that they were safe, because there's so many antibiotics and things, so many chemical or non-natural things in the manures. I don't want to use that. I'll only use my chicken stuff. You'll notice, especially in this section right here, the wood chips are almost gone. Some of the section there's a little more, but what we want to do first is I'm not just going to put the manure down first. What I want to do is just put a thin layer of wood chips, about 2 inches or so, just as a barrier, because this chicken manure is hot. It hasn't been broken down, so we want to make sure it slowly seeps into the soil. So let's get those 2 inches of wood chips first. Okay, we got a nice load of wood chips here. I'm gonna spread that out underneath the tree. Again, not crazy thick. It's about 2 inches or so. Some spots won't even need it that already have chips. And the reason we're putting these chips down is to dissipate the heat of the manure. Because we're gonna do this, we're gonna put all this down, then fall in the rainy season, it's gonna rain, and all that rain's gonna run through the wood chips and the manure. It's gonna allow the manure to slowly seep into the soil. This way, by springtime, this tree should be fertilized and ready to just explode with growth. This year, this hazelnut tree has way more catkins than it ever has. If you look up top there, it's just absolutely loaded with them. That's what's gonna give out the pollination and fertilize the flowers on this. So all these catkins is a good sign that we should have a nice fruit next year. Now that we got our about 2 inches of wood chips down, we're gonna spread this chicken manure. And I've got a lot of this stuff saved up throughout the years. And I've got it in buckets like this, nice and dry. This way I can just use it any way I want. Some of the more manure I'll usually use in the compost pile. That's the majority. But I thought it'd be a good idea to just apply it to the base of a lot of these trees as a nice top dressing. I just grabbed another bucket. We're gonna just throw a little more. And that's just wood shavings in there with them. So now that we have the manure down, we're gonna spread it just a little better. Not a crazy amount, but it should be enough to just help this tree along. Just spreading it around. Next, we're gonna cover this with wood chips, because with Tuck, with anybody, really, I don't want sitting manure in the garden. So on the surface of the soil, we're gonna go around and just cover this whole thing with wood chips. Let's get this manure all covered up. So again, another couple inches of wood chips just to make sure it's just not exposed. So we'll just continue going around the tree and just doing the same thing. And then after this tree, we'll move over to the next hazelnut tree. And then after that, we'll go to some of the other big peach trees and stuff. I'm gonna do this around a number of my trees. As much as manure as I have, I'm gonna use this year. And we're gonna see if that adds some production, if it helps the overall health of the tree. That's today's video, growers. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. A number of you asked me down in the comments about the raised bed hoop house, the thing we built up top here. If you wanna see a video on that, just let me know and we'll make one. I just wanted to let all of you know that if you can get outside in the winter, get your hands dirty, even if they're cold, it'll be excellent for your garden because all labor is profit. Get out there, get some work done. It'll all add up come next spring. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share with your friends. Don't forget to check out the merch down low. We'll see you guys in the next one. James and Tuck, we out.